What's going on, everybody? Kevin here. And believe it or not, my wife wants to have at least one more child. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of 50-50. All right, I'm not being honest. I'm more 70-30, more 70 I don't, and 30 I'm up to the idea, primarily because now my children are older. I don't have to worry about bottles. I don't have to worry about diapers. They can pretty much get their own snacks and their own food almost. So it's like, do I really want to start over from scratch all over again? But the main reason why my wife wants another child is not more so because of just getting that itch, but it's because of what happened with our first two children when they were born. Now, before I get into it, let me give you a little bit of backstory. Before we got married, we talked about how that, when it came to our first daughter, her name was gonna be Brianna. Like, I didn't have an option with that, but because I liked the name, it wasn't a big deal. The other thing that we said that we were gonna have at least 4 children and that we needed to have all 4 of these children before my wife turned 35. So then, she can get tight and get right and that, end up being one of them sexy mamas or whatnot, which she is. But we both already hit that age, and for many of you all know, earlier this month in August, I already turned 36. So we kind of passed that age. However, everything started with child number 1. Now this all started back in 2005, where it was one particular month where my wife was late. She was later than usual, so we were opening up to the idea like, man, could this be it? But that wasn't the case. But we said, you know what, why not? We've been married now for 4 years. Why not start our family? So we just thought the typical thing that we stopped using protection, stopped using contraceptives, and just figured, hey, this is one time you get pregnant. Tried it twice, didn't work. That's when we found out what ovulation was, which is crazy because, in the neighborhoods and places I was around, as frequently as people got pregnant, you thought it was something easy to do, but that's when I found out about them windows and why it was in these movies where you hear certain stories where guys couldn't leave the house at a certain time. So finally figured it out, tried within that window of time. One day she calls me in the bathroom and she tells me,
I'm pregnant.
Now you figure my initial reaction would be, oh, that's such wonderful news. But instead my reaction was this.
So you're not gonna say anything?
Yeah, fellas, don't do what I did. See, for me, it was just me trying to wrap my head around the fact that I'm actually about to become somebody's father. So this was crazy. So after we found out she was pregnant, we got a recommendation of an OBGYN from a family friend, said she loved the doctor, he did great work, delivered her baby, everything. So we said, all right, we'll go by this recommendation, we'll trust you. And the doctor's office was in kind of a hoodish area, but we were familiar with the area. And we said, you know what, but if we're gonna get great care, we're not gonna worry about it. Things went pretty smoothly. Got the first ultrasound, got to see pictures of the baby. We had the little 4D pictures and everything like that. Then the baby shower came up, and the baby shower was pretty cool. I didn't have to do too much. I mean, we did, as the men, we had to serve the ladies, but the fact that I didn't have to participate in any of them games or anything like that, I had no problem serving the ladies, getting the drinks, little snacks and stuff like that. That was cool. What was wild was what happened after the baby shower, because we went to Babies R Us after the gift cards and everything. And let me tell you, walking into Babies R Us and seeing all of the things that you could get for babies all on the wall, that was one of the most overwhelming feelings I've ever had in my life. It was so overwhelming. We looked at each other and said, are you ready to go? And we left. We were in there maybe 15 minutes tops and we were out of there. Of course, eventually we did go back and get to the things that we needed. But fortunately, it was after we talked to people who already had children and told us, these are things that you really need, and then these other things here are just luxury. So that came in handy. But the real craziness I wanted to start telling you about and why this was just a whole crazy experience is when it came closer to the delivery date. We had went to the doctor's office and we found out that the doctor was about to go on vacation the same time that Brittany was about to deliver. So we were like, man, that was unfortunate. So he sent us to Greater Southeast Hospital. It has a different name now, but at the time it was called Greater Southeast. Mind you, this is a hospital that's been shut down, reopened, shut down, reopened again. The name has been changed to something else. They always get bad ratings. I mean, it's just not a very good hospital. But he sent us there to have one more ultrasound. And when we get there, it just has an eerie feeling about it. So the lady's, searching, looking for the baby. She says, I don't really hear anything or heartbeat or anything. So now my wife's freaking out, but she searches again. She hears a heartbeat, but then she comes back and says, your fluid's really, really low. But she let us go. So we went home. Next, you know what, the doctor's office calls and tells us that we need to go to Greater Southeast so she can be induced. I'm like, oh, heck no. Primarily because, for anybody know, my mom passed away in 2005. But she had to have either kidney stones or gallstones, I can't remember which one. She had to have a surgery done, and it was an in and out surgery, and then a week later, she passed away. Now, I don't know if it was because of the hospital, the aftercare, whatever the case may be. I mean, we did try to do an investigation to find out what's going on. We didn't really get no definitive answers, but just the fact that that hospital is linked with her in that aspect, I'm like, no, you're not having my wife there, you're not having my children there, it's absolutely not happening. So what we did, we disregarded what they said, and we went to Washington Hospital Center and just went to the emergency room because we knew they wouldn't turn us away. So we went to Washington Hospital Center emergency room. You know, they hooked her up to the machine, everything. They saw heartbeat was fine, and they did say that the amniotic fluid around the baby was low, but not to the point where she needed to be induced, and that she should be able to last until her delivery date, which was only the next day anyway. So it really wasn't a big deal. So we went back home, it was calm. The very next day we went back to the doctor's office, and what was crazy, when we walked into the doctor's office, one of the receptionists there, and I didn't really like this lady anyway, but one of the receptionists there was telling another woman how her and her husband could kind of like rig or get around the system and take advantage of it so they could get WIC, even though they made enough that they didn't need it, because I already knew we couldn't afford it because I made too much. I already didn't like the lady, then that rubbed me the wrong way. Then she's here trying to chastise and talk down to my wife, saying, you know, you put your baby at risk. I delivered my children to Greater Southeast and they're fine. That's good for you, but that's not good for me, especially like I just told you with the history that I had. We're not going that route. But she kept trying to tell my wife, did you put your baby in danger? You put your baby life in jeopardy? I said, no, we didn't, because we went to Washington Hospital Center and they told us everything was fine when y'all were trying to lie and tell us that everything was wrong. So I'm saying, no, we were fine. So after all that, later on that night, while watching Dancing with the Stars, my wife goes into labor. We go back to Washington Hospital Center, and this time it's packed, because when we went the night before, we were in and out maybe within an hour, maybe 2 hours. But this time it was a wait. Here it is, she's having her contractions. They finally get us back there, and then we almost get sent home, because even though she was only 2 centimeters dilated and we got finished walking around the hospital, fortunately they took us in. I think the whole thing took maybe like 13 hours of labor. She was able to get an epidural and everything, but once we actually got admitted to Washington Hospital Center, everything was pretty much smooth after that. The delivery went without any problems. The funny thing though is that with this picture here, and that smile I had on my face, it was funny because I looked at my wife after she took that picture and I said, you know, we can't put it back, right? This is it, this is parenthood, and we're ready for all the joys and challenges that come with it, because there's no turning back. But it was just funny just thinking about that, because this whole situation was surreal. While I have heard many others go through it, it was just interesting and just funny going through it myself, and still going through it. But that was just child number 1. Child number 2 was just as crazy. But just to sum it up, and I'm gonna mention this in the next video also, is that she just wants to have a normal birthing experience, just from prenatal all the way to delivery. Because even when I tell you guys the next story, I don't know what it is just about these doctors and these hospitals. It's just crazy about it. But that's all I have for now, so feel free to leave any comments or questions in the comment section below. And as always, be wise. And until I see you guys next time, have a great day.